Hi there. Welcome back to the At-Home Yoga series. My name is Katrina Long, and today I will be taking you through a morning yoga practice. So if you haven't already seen our other videos, we've walked through a frequently asked question video about all the questions you might have in regards to yoga. We've also walked through a bedtime yoga practice, so if you are getting ready to wind down or just want something really gentle, feel free to go and check that video out. Today is our morning yoga practice, so this will be a little bit more of a uplifting practice, something that you can get your day started with to get you energized and going. We'll start this practice laying on our mat. Feel free to start in your bed if that's where you're at. So whatever you have around you is totally fine. Just make sure you have enough space to move your arms and legs in the bed if that's where you are, or starting on the mat. I will start laying down using my blanket as a pillow. Feel free to get nice and comfortable to begin, and then as we move, we will come into standing postures to get us moving, get our blood flowing, and ready for the rest of the day. So go ahead and grab whatever you might need. We won't be using too many props today, but I can show you how to use a block in some of our poses, and show you how to use a blanket in them as well. So if you don't have that with you, please go grab it, and we'll go ahead and get started. So starting laying on your back. If you're already in the bed, staying there, getting nice and comfortable. We're just going to ease into the day this morning. So feel free to just relax into your breath here. Noticing where your breath is today. We'll start with some inhales and exhales, maybe taking one hand to the chest and one hand to the stomach. Just noticing how the chest and stomach rise as you inhale, and how they fall when you exhale. Really seeing if we can get that air to fill up the bottom of our stomach as we inhale, and pushing as much of our air back out into the space around us with every exhale. We'll take a few more deep breaths, moving at your own pace. Beautiful. Remember, as we move through this practice, only doing what feels good for your body. Anything that I say is just a suggestion. Take your time. If anything hurts or does not feel good, please feel free to stop. Do something that feels better, or just pause and return back to the practice when you can. Whenever you're ready, we'll start to take those arms up overhead and stretch those legs out. Kind of like you're getting a good, big, nice morning stretch. Stretching as far as you can in both directions. Really feeling the stretch in the spine. Taking a few deep breaths here. And when you're ready, maybe we take the right hand the right wrist rather, in our left hand, and just stretch to that side. So allowing the left hand to pull the right arm over. And if it feels okay, maybe we'll take that right leg, crossing it over, and just really stretching to one side. Both feet can move in that direction as well to get a nice stretch in the side body. So we're really leaning over to the left side. Taking a couple deep breaths here. With our next inhale, coming back to center. And on the exhale, we'll switch the hands and the feet. So we'll take that left that left wrist into the right hand and moving the upper body towards the right side. And taking that left foot across the right foot and moving both legs towards the right side. We're almost making like a crescent moon here, half circle. And we're just nicely pulling to feel a gentle stretch on the side of our body as we start to wake up our bodies. Beautiful. One more deep breath here. Coming back to center, bringing both knees up towards the chest, nice and gently. We have some options here. We can keep the knees and the legs close together, or we can take them wide. Hands can come around, or we can wrap the arms all the way around, whatever feels most comfortable. We're just going to take a few rocks here, side to side, massaging the spine, getting everything nice and warmed up for our morning. And maybe while you're here, thinking of something you want to set as an intention for your day today. Maybe an intention to just be more gentle with yourself. Maybe an intention to try hard with everything that you do the best that you can. Maybe you want to set an intention to just be more present, do more breathing. Whatever feels good to you, just noticing whatever your intention is today. And as you set that, beginning to take one big inhale and exhale with that intention. Beautiful. So as we move through the rest of our practice, continuing to just set that intention, knowing that whatever you do in your morning sets the standard for how you move through the rest of the day. So we'll set the intention for this practice to just do the best that we can. On an exhale, we'll take both arms and both legs, stretching out, making our starfish, stretching to all four sides. On our inhale, we're coming back into center, arms around the legs. We'll do that 2 more times at your own pace. Exhaling, stretching as far as you can, seeing if you can stretch even further this time, really pointing the toes, reaching the fingers, and coming in. One more time, exhaling everything out. And coming back to center. This time we'll tuck the chin towards the knees, getting a nice stretch in the upper back. One deep inhale and exhale here. Beautiful. So taking our time, we're going to roll over to our child's pose. So child's pose, we're just coming onto our knees, bringing the big toes together. Knees can be as wide as the mat, or they can be closer together if that feels more comfortable for you. And we're just taking the upper body in front of us. So just allowing the upper body to lay down. You can bring a pillow or blanket underneath the forehead if that feels good, or you can just fold your elbows and use your hands, whatever feels best for you. We're just getting a nice little stretch in the back here. Really breathing into the lower back. So as we breathe and fill up the stomach, noticing from this position how the lower back starts to lengthen. This is an area of our bodies that we often feel a lot of tension and pain. Sometimes it gets stiff while we're sleeping, so we're just giving it a little love before we begin the day. Getting it nice and warm with the air and oxygen. Beautiful. When you're ready, taking that pillow away from you, we'll start to get into some bigger movements here. So stretching the arms out as far as we can, really stretching with the fingertips. Breathing here, maybe taking the chin to the mat, stretching out the top of the back. With an inhale, we'll take that right hand and we're just taking it underneath the left arm here, laying on that right shoulder. Palm can face upwards. Opposite hand can stay right in front of you, or we can bring it closer to the body if that feels comfortable. But we're just stretching this shoulder here that we're leaning on. Nice and gentle stretch. Remembering to breathe as we're here, inhaling and exhaling. We'll take 2 more inhales and exhales here. Moving at your own pace, allowing your breath to lead you. And with our next inhale, releasing that arm back out in front of us. We'll move to the opposite side. So this time the left hand comes underneath that right arm. Again, palm can face up towards the ceiling, or we can face the palm towards the floor, depending on what feels good for your body. That opposite arm is reaching out in front of you, or we can pull it closer towards that shoulder, whatever feels good. Just listen to what your body needs this morning. We'll take 3 deep breaths at your own pace. And when you're ready, bringing that hand back to center, stretching it out in front of us. This time we'll come to the fingertips here, really lifting the wrist up. And we'll start to bring the knees closer together. Hips coming upwards. And just sticking the hips up towards the ceiling, dropping the chest down towards the floor, coming into our puppy pose here. As we're stretching, we might notice a lot of sensation in the upper back, and that's okay. We can take the forehead to the mat if that feels comfortable. Or if we want to lengthen the stretch, we can take the chin to the mat instead. Whatever feels good for you. Breathing into the shoulders, noticing whatever sensations are coming up. We'll take 2 more deep inhales and exhales here. Do the best that you can. Beautiful. Bringing those palms back down towards the mat. This time we'll lift the whole upper body up, coming into our tabletop position. So we're coming to all fours. As we come to all fours, if you have any trouble being on your knees, you can add a blanket if you're on the floor. If you are on the bed, stay nice and comfortable there. That is okay. Just adding a little cushion to the knees here. And for our wrists, we can take the fingers, spread them nice and wide, and plant them into the mat. However, if we don't like to apply pressure to the wrist, maybe we have an injury there, we can also just ball the fist up and use the fist instead. So whatever feels good for you. We can either use our fists underneath the shoulders or all 5 fingers spread nice and wide. Knees are about hip width distance apart, and we're planting the tops of our feet into the mat. So really pressing into the mat here with our knees, our palms, our feet. And we're going to start to do some cat-cows here, but a different variation. So typically our cat-cows, we're dropping the belly, lifting the chin. And then we're rounding the spine, tucking the chin. So we'll move through that, but we'll take it in a circle. So dropping the belly, lifting the chin, and moving in a circle, going in whatever direction feels good. As you curl, just noticing what it feels like to round. And maybe you have to get the upper body moving, and maybe the head doesn't move at first, and that's okay. Just getting used to the movement. And whenever you're ready, we'll move in the opposite direction. So taking the belly down and around towards the opposite side. Really waking up our spine here and just noticing what it feels like. Get the head involved if that feels good. And if that's too much work in your morning, that's okay. Beautiful. We'll make one more round. Coming back to center. As we come back to center, we're going to take those palms still facing down, but we're turning the fingers to face the body. Really putting a little pressure on the wrist here. So if you have any trouble with your wrist, be really, really gentle, not leaning into them too much. So we can lean as far forward as we need to or as far back as we need to. We're just going to make light circles here with the upper body. Just stretching out our wrists, getting them ready for whatever it is that we need to do today. Making our way in the opposite direction whenever we're ready. Beautiful. Bringing the hands, fingertips facing back to the top of the mat. We're going to come into our downward dog. So we'll just curl the toes under. If you are in the bed, we can do this in the bed or we can move to the floor, whatever feels best. We'll curl the toes under, lifting the knees and the hips so knees start to straighten, hips going towards the ceiling. Now, typically here, we'll talk about goals of putting the heels of our feet towards the floor, but it's the morning. Keeping the knees in a nice bend if that feels comfortable. Heels can be as far up off the floor as it feels good. We're just allowing the body to come into a gentle downward dog here. Taking a few deep breaths here, feeling the stretch in the backs of your legs. And maybe as you breathe, the knees start to straighten just a little bit more. Whenever you're ready, we're walking those feet towards our hands. Now, if you are still in the bed here, this is the time to come out of the bed, joining us on the floor, just taking those feet to the floor. We're coming into our rag doll here, keeping the knees as bent as you need them to be or as feels comfortable. We can plant the feet here. We're just hanging the head. Arms can hang as well if that feels good, or we can grab opposite elbows with the hands and hang that way. It's called ragdoll because there's no real way to do this with the upper body. Just do whatever feels comfortable. And breathing. So if this is your first time stepping onto the floor today, welcome. Welcome to your morning. Thank you for joining us. We'll hang out here for a little bit. Maybe we want to sway from one side to the other, really noticing the differences as we move our body. Inhaling and exhaling. When you're ready, coming back to center, releasing the hands. On an inhale, we'll slightly lift up, straightening the back so it's parallel to the floor. On an exhale, we're coming back down, reaching the hands as far as you can. So if you want to, we can add a block here or something underneath the hand so we can reach for that. Otherwise, just let the hands hang. If they don't reach the floor, that's okay. And maybe we start to straighten the legs just a little bit more, allowing the bend in the knees to release. only as much as feels comfortable. So we'll do that again. Inhaling, we're bringing the back straight, parallel to the ground. And on the exhale, we're folding over again. Beautiful. Inhale and exhale here. On our next inhale, we'll slowly roll the body up to a standing position. Beautiful. Coming to our standing position, as we're beginning our day, we'll inhale, arms up overhead. As we exhale, we're coming back into that forward fold. Feel free to bend the knees if we need to. Folding over, if you have a book or a block in front of you, go ahead and grab onto it. Inhale, we'll slightly lift to that halfway lift. Body is parallel to the floor. And exhale, we're folding over. When you're ready, on another inhale, we'll just take that right foot. We're stepping it back, straightening that leg, toes facing in front of us. We're coming into a low lunge here, so we'll start to drop the back knee. We can uncurl the toes in the back. And we're coming into this low lunge where we'll lift up onto the front leg. So you can use a block or a book here if that feels comfortable. Making sure this knee is not over that foot, so we're not stretching that far, keeping it above the ankle. We might have to move that foot a little bit further in front of us. We're coming to the low lunge. As we come here, we're just dropping the hips down towards the floor. Noticing any sensations that might happen in this back leg, that the front of the thigh, the hips, even in the glutes here. So only going as far as feels comfortable. We're dropping down here, breathing. Take a couple deep breaths here. Beautiful. With our next inhale, we'll shift the hips backwards, straightening that front knee, folding over that front leg, coming into a nice long stretch in the back of the leg. So feel free to bend that knee if that feels comfortable. We don't have to stretch our bodies too far. Do whatever feels good for you. And as we exhale, we'll come back to that low lunge. So we'll move through that a few times, using the pace of your own breath. Whenever you're ready. On the inhale, we stretch that front leg, sending the hips back, folding over. Exhaling, we're coming back to the low lunge, dropping the hips, really getting a good stretch in the hips there. We'll do that 2 more times at your own pace. Maybe every time you fold over, you just notice if that knee can straighten a little bit more. Remembering to keep your breath. So if it becomes challenging, just return back to the breath and only go as far as the breath will allow. Last one here, and we'll meet each other back at the low lunge, taking your time to get here. Beautiful. Once we're here, we'll come into a quad stretch. So we'll start to bend that back knee a little bit more, bringing that foot up towards the body here. If it feels good, we can take that right hand around and grab the foot. If that's too much sensation, we can just stay here and just continue to pull that foot towards us. We don't have to use the hands at all if we don't want to. Otherwise, bringing that right arm around, pulling it. We can keep the hand on the front knee here and stretching. That's a lot of sensation. We can inhale and release. And then exhale, come back into it. Whatever feels good for you. Taking 2 more deep breaths here. And we'll go ahead and release that back leg, bringing it down to our low lunge. We'll move our block back in front of us if we have one. We're coming back into our downward dog. So we're going to send this front leg behind us, curling both toes under, lifting the hips up towards the ceiling, getting nice and comfortable here as we straighten the knees as much as feels comfortable. And maybe we want to start to pedal out the feet here. So we've gotten a few stretches in one of our legs, just noticing what it feels like. Lifting one heel higher than the other, taking your time. We'll take 2 more deep breaths here. Beautiful. Whenever you're ready, we're walking the feet back to meet the hands. We're going to go in for the same thing, opposite side, bending the knees as much as we want to, rolling the body up, coming to a standing position to get ourselves ready for the opposite side. Inhaling, arms come up. Exhaling, we're folding over. Feel free to continue to bend the knees if that feels comfortable. As we inhale, we'll halfway lift, upper body parallel to the floor. Exhaling, folding over. Feel free to nod the head yes and no while we're here. Really stretching out the neck. And whenever you're ready, hands can come to the mat or to the block. This time we're taking that left foot backwards. Getting the right leg situated so that that knee is not above our toes. We can go ahead and drop that back knee down onto the mat, uncurling the toes there, coming to our low lunge. If it feels comfortable, we can lift up on that right thigh, or we can bring our block with us, whatever feels best. Leaning into the hip here. Taking a couple deep breaths. Seeing if we can keep that chest nice and lifted. When you're ready, moving through our motions here. We'll inhale, pressing the hips backwards, straightening that front knee. Coming to our forward fold here. Take a quick breath here, getting the body used to it. And then we'll move through a couple times with the breath, taking your time, going at your own pace. Every time we come into our lunge, really pressing those hips down towards the mat. And every time we fold over, seeing if we can straighten that front knee just a little bit more. Maybe dropping the chin down towards the knee. We're just doing 3 of these at your own pace. Taking your time. Might be a lot of action on the hips this morning. So just breathing into it. And we'll meet back in our low lunge whenever you're ready. As we come here, we'll start to bend that back knee, bringing the foot up towards the body. Again, we can stay here if that feels comfortable, or if it feels okay, we can reach that left arm back and really pull that knee, that foot towards us. Being gentle with ourselves, we might rock a little bit, trying to keep our balance. Finding a spot where you can focus your attention that is stable to help you balance. Really getting a good quad stretch here. Seeing if we can keep the chest nice and open. And breathing. One more deep breath here at your own pace. Beautiful. Releasing that back foot. We'll go ahead and take both hands to the mat, moving our block out of the way if you're using one. Both feet come behind us. We're going to go back into that downward dog, curling the toes under, lifting the hips, getting a nice stretch here. And this time, maybe we can straighten the legs, or maybe they're only slightly bent. less than they were in the very beginning because we've gotten a good stretch here. Go ahead and pedal out the feet. Taking a few deep breaths here. Beautiful. Whenever you're ready, we'll drop the knees down towards the mat. We're coming to our child's pose again here. So we'll take the big toes together. If it feels comfortable, we can widen the knees. And we'll get nice and comfortable in this child's pose. So feel free to grab a pillow or a blanket to lay underneath you. We'll be here for a few breaths, just relaxing the body. After all of the stretching that we did, so coming here, taking a few deep breaths, allowing the upper body to relax. Nice little reward for the hard work our legs and hips did just now. We're not quite done, but we're still being nice and gentle as we move. Noticing any changes in the breath or the body. Few deep breaths here. Whenever you're ready, maybe moving the pillow out of the way. If it feels comfortable to stay there, you're welcome to. If you would like to do some gentle movement, we'll just walk the hands to one side of the mat. Maybe we start on the left. Really stretching the side of the body. Taking a few deep breaths here. And when you're ready, walking to the opposite side. Few deep breaths. And we'll meet the folks still on their pillows back at center. Couple more deep breaths here. When you're ready, slowly walking the upper body up. We'll come onto our feet here. We can bring the knees closer together if that feels comfortable. Sitting here, lengthening the spine nice and tall. We'll just give the shoulders a few shrugs. So inhaling, we're bringing the shoulders up towards the ear. And as we exhale, just dropping them really fast. We'll do that a few more times. Inhaling. Exhaling. One more time. Inhale. And exhale. Beautiful. This time, inhaling nice and slow. Shoulders towards ears, rolling them back and down the spine. Two more times at your own pace. Inhale. Exhale, rolling them back and down. One more. Beautiful. Opposite way this time. Inhaling, we're lifting up. And on the exhale, forward and down. Two more at your own pace. Beautiful. This time with an inhale, we'll take the arms nice and wide. Exhaling, we're just crossing the arms over, maybe grabbing the shoulders with the opposite hand. Really pulling, giving yourself a nice big hug for our morning here. Maybe we even drop the chin down towards the chest. Couple deep breaths here. On our next inhale, we'll release, opening the arms nice and wide. And on the exhale, going in for the opposite side. So opposite arm on top this time. Same action though. Nice big hug. We can drop the chin or maybe lay one ear on the shoulder. Remembering our intention for today. So whatever your intention was, our collective intention was to do our best. Maybe you had another intention that you want to recall this morning. Taking a couple more inhales and exhales. Beautiful. Releasing. We'll just go ahead and shake the arms out. Maybe turn the upper body from side to side. So to come into our final resting pose, you can find whatever way you like to rest. Shaking the body nice, side to side. Slowly coming back to center. So we'll come into our final resting pose here. You may rest however feels comfortable for you. If you know that getting back in that bed is not going to make your morning very productive, don't do that. Maybe we want to rest in a seated position today. Or maybe you want to find yourself in a laying position on the floor instead if that feels comfortable. Doing whatever feels good for your body. I will come to a nice laying position here, bringing my back to the mat, knees bent, feet on the floor, using my blanket here as a pillow. Feel free to wrap yourself up and get nice and cozy. As we rest, we just want to make sure that our bodies feel nice and comforted. We'll take some deep breaths here and we'll do a gentle body scan just to notice what's happening and get us ready for the morning. So settle yourself in and we'll get started. So as we come to our final resting pose, resting however feels comfortable for you. You may choose to lay down. However, if you know getting back in the bed is not going to be productive for your morning, please find your way to your mat or stay here on your mat if that's where you are. You can rest in a laying position. You can rest in a seated position. Rest however feels comfortable. We'll take a few deep breaths here. We'll do more of an active resting pose. So we'll do a little bit of movement and some breathing, getting you really ready for the day. So I'm going to rest in a laying position. My back on the mat, knees bent, feet on the floor. Find your way to whatever feels comfortable. And as we do this, we'll start to just check in with the body. So starting with our breath as always, inhaling and exhaling. Noticing if the breath is any different than when we started. If it feels comfortable, just starting to lightly scan the body. So just noticing what the head feels like, releasing any tension in the eyebrows, the temples, our cheeks, and our ears. Maybe dropping the lower jaw, releasing the tongue down from the roof of the mouth. Maybe we start to turn the head from one side to the other. Just noticing what's happening in the neck as we do that. Bringing the shoulders down away from the ears. Maybe even pulling the shoulders together in the back. Really lifting the chest. Inhale and exhale. And release the shoulders, allowing them to relax. Noticing the upper back, the upper half of our arms, our elbows, the lower half of our arms. Maybe we make circles with the wrists. Making fists with our hands, squeezing them nice and tight. And releasing on an exhale, wiggling out the fingers, allowing the arms to come to rest. Inhaling, noticing anything happening in the stomach and lower back. Making any adjustments in the hips. Noticing our thighs and our knees, maybe tightening the thighs here. Releasing on an exhale. Tightening the calves. Releasing on an exhale. Maybe one foot at a time, you just circle out the ankle. Wiggling the toes. Moving to the opposite leg whenever you're ready. Wiggling the toes. And allowing the entire body to come to rest whenever you're ready. Taking a few deep breaths here. With our next inhale, making it the biggest inhale we have taken all morning, really filling up the stomach. And as we exhale, releasing as much of the air back out into the space around us. Really pressing that stomach into our back. And then allowing the breath to come back to normal. Whatever your normal is. Whenever you're ready, starting to maybe wiggle the fingers and the toes. Doing any gentle, small movements. Get you ready to move through that intention that we set this morning. If you are in a laying position, taking whatever time you need to make your way to a seated position. Maybe we roll to one side and rest here for a bit, allowing the body to adjust to the movements. Slowly pushing the upper body up, coming to a comfortable seat. Beautiful. So as we close out our morning practice, a reminder that as you move through your day, you may just notice some things happening in your body. Maybe you're not used to stretching in the morning. Maybe you're not used to doing much movement at all. And so just noticing what the muscles might experience, noticing that the body might feel more energized, more tired, whatever it is, just taking in lots of water, make sure you get something good to eat, and continue to take care of yourselves. Be gentle, and remember your intention that you set for today. Thank you so much for joining me for this morning yoga practice. Feel free to return to it whenever you need to, and I hope to see you in the next video. Bye.